All right, guys. I'll wait for a few of you guys to tune in. Let me know how the audio is. I actually just realized I didn't test the audio. So let me know real quick if the audio is good. Wait for some comment in the chat to let me know so I don't kill your ears if it's stuttering. Comment in the chat to let me know so I don't. Let's see. No comments yet. Let's see. Can't hear me. No comments yet. Let's see. Can't hear me. No comments yet. All right. Can you hear me now? There we go. Sorry about that. I did not have everything up and running. All right, guys. So the Jets lose 18-10 to the division rival Buffalo Bills. TJ Decker, he didn't play bad. Gase clearly took over play calling. Yeah, look, hey, how different was the first half compared to the second half? The first half of this game, it felt like we had, a new offense. I'm watching the first drive. I'm like, Gase is calling a pretty good game. I don't know what's going on, but I don't mind it. It's actually all right, kind of nice. And then as we watch, go on, we get to the second half, and everything just went flat. Nothing happened after the first half. There was a point where I think they said 100 and something yards in the first half, and then like the last nine, or since then was like Sam was 1 of 9. It was brutal. A few takeaways from the game. So I thought that hit on Hyde at the end of the game was absolutely a dirty shot. I think that was, if I were a ref and I saw that, I would have felt like he needed to get thrown out of that game. He launched his body at the head of Brashad Perriman. That is a very lethal potential hit. Like that is not okay. Can't do that. Big takeaways from the game. Mims playing looked like he was pretty solid. I don't know what happened in the second half. First half looked pretty solid. Not exactly sure what happened there. What are you going to say? P. Ryan finally getting his first touchdown. It's nice just to see him get some more reps. That was really an issue for me that I was trying to why is the 38-year-old fucking Frank Gore getting all these touches? I can't do this. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so that was not something you want to see. Loggains calling plays, liked that. That said, maybe we should go back to Gase calling plays because I'd like this to be a little more comfortable when we're losing, but at least this game was entertaining. I could at least root for the Jets and root for some offensive production there. Penalties were terrible. So bad. We had, I think Becton wound up having 2 penalties, and then you had Quinnen Williams, who had, a good game. I'm excited what I'm getting out of Quinnen Williams right now. It seems like he's starting to turn that corner into the realm of, just good play consistently. It seems like he's causing havoc around the offensive line of scrimmage, and I'm happy with that. Offensive line-wise, not happy with what I got out of the offensive line. I think that was very much an issue. I think that at one point, I don't know what the actual end game stats were, but with 28 dropbacks for Sam Darnold, he was sacked on 6 of them, hurried on 11 of them, and knocked down 6 times. So for those of you doing the math, let me do the math. 23 of his 28 dropbacks, he was under duress. That's unreal. Multiples says Sam to Dallas with Andy going down. Also dirty hit by Hyde. I could not agree more, Multiples. I actually tweeted that during the game. I think that Andy Dalton going down could open the door for a Sam Darnold trade to Dallas. Now, I guess it depends on if Dallas thinks they could win that division. That's really going to be the main driving point here, because if he has, they'd have to offer up a first for me to want to trade Sam midseason. There's no way that I would feel comfortable trading Sam, not knowing we're getting the number 1 pick and not knowing that Trevor Lawrence is coming out. Like, I would be so irritated if we traded Sam and then, like, all these, like, worst case scenario things wind up happening. Personal foul wise, penalty wise, so we'll talk about the Hyde hit a little bit. Bad shot, didn't like it. The Jets really shouldn't talk, because we've had, going into this game, the Jets led the league in 15-yard penalties and in roughing the passer or whatever, unnecessary roughness. The Bears had 3, the Ravens had 3, the Jets at one point had 7. I think we're up to 8 or 9 with that last play where Sam threw the interception. That was bad. Can't be giving away extra yards here. Madden Mobile Tips says, imagine if we have 4 first-round picks, trade Quinnen for a first and possibly some offers and a first from Darnold and a third for first possibly. I think it's going to be hard to get a first-round pick for Sam. I think it's going to be a little tough. If he plays like he played in the first half of this game through the rest of the season, I think you might be able to see it. But with teams having to decide on that 4th-year option right now, or 5th-year option, I don't think we're getting a first. Second-round pick feels like that's probably what we're looking at. Parker says, did you realize we ran the same play after those 2 penalties in the first half? Which penalties are you talking about? I do not know. I thought Josh Andrews played terrible today. The offensive line was bad, but there was 2 plays in a row where one, he was flagged. The other one, before he was flagged, was called on the defense. It should have been called on him for, like, flinching at the snap. Matt F. Loggains' play calling was good. He was just awful with clock management. I don't know if he was the entirety of the offense today. Like, did Gase do anything? He just I don't even know if he's a warm body. Yeah, let's see. What do we got here? Owen says, Gase finally gave up play calling, thank God, and Sam had picks, but is everyone going to ignore like he didn't just come off a shoulder injury? Sam made some bad throws. He made some bad decisions. He threw it into multiple coverages where multiple defensive players were there. So I wasn't overly thrilled, but I mean, it definitely looked better than a lot of the games we were watching prior. This was ugly, or those games were ugly. This one was a little more manageable. It's funny when you go through the first half of the game, you're like, oh, they're playing all right. Oh, wait, it's Loggains calling. And then I see this here. Hume Gmail. Breaking news. Johnson's promote Gase to co-owner of the Jets. Still think he's a genius. Hey, you know what? Not anyone could have promoted Darryl Loggains to offensive coordinator. So, you know what? Maybe they're on to something. Maybe Gase needs to be co-owner. NY Patriots said Bills were pretty bad, honestly. I thought so. I thought the Bills were worse than the Jets were good. Like, the defense played pretty nice. Like, we gave up a lot of yardage, but Greg Williams doesn't want to give up touchdowns. If you don't give up touchdowns in this league, generally, more times than not, you're going to win that game. Our offense didn't move the ball nearly enough. They didn't score any points. Well, I shouldn't say any points. They got 10 points, but they didn't score enough points to make this a competitive game, and it felt like the Jets could have been blown out by more if the Bills didn't have some of the if the Bills were able to take advantage of us a little bit more. Guys, I'm going to have hashtag sports on the channel tomorrow, so if you guys want to tune into that, I'll be live for that. If you guys did you guys join the Flick Chat? I don't know if you guys joined the Flick Chat or not, but there's this really cool app called Flick Chat. It's in the description down below. You should definitely check it out because you can actually play like a fantasy game on this thing, and it's actually a lot of fun. I think Matt Curtis, I think you wound up being the winner for today. Where is that? Results, leaderboard. Yeah, damn, Curdy. Pulling out a 290. Kenny got a 288. I got a 273. So I came in third. Had 14 people in on that. That was pretty fun. I'm looking forward to that. They just rolled that out this week. So if you want to get involved in that, doesn't cost you anything. Just a lot of fun to kind of go back and forth. German says Sam Darnold's terrible. I don't like that. I don't think Sam's terrible. I think he's good. I just feel like we're getting a lot of excuses year in and year out. Like year one, rookies. I get that. That makes sense to me, a rookie issue. Then you had the mono last year. Then this year it's like, okay, well, Gase sucks and he has a shoulder injury and no training camp and new offensive line. It doesn't feel like Sam's going to be here. And it's got to be a tough conversation for Sam, right? Like they were talking about how Sam and Allen were talking at center field at the beginning of the game. What do you think that conversation went like? Do you think they're talking about how like the two quarterbacks came out and they're like, hey, remember how good your situation was, Josh Allen? Yeah, my situation hasn't gotten any better. I'm Sam Darnold in that situation. RTW, shit looks rigged. You see Anderson pull up when he had a wide open shot at Allen. Quinnen Williams did that too. When he tackled Allen the one time and he threw his arms like out to the side to show like, hey, I'm trying to stop. You know, I'm not trying to like do anything bad. Oof, no name. 4 yards in the second half. Is that actually what it wound up end game being? I saw the stat, but I wasn't sure if we got any yardage in that last little chunk of time there. Dark Demonic says Becton gave up a sack, had a flag on him for not being lined up correctly. Yeah, he wasn't on the line of scrimmage, I think. I think that's what it was. It was an illegal formation, if I'm not mistaken. Callum Scott, it's the hope that kills you. After the first half, I was enjoying watching us compete, and then boom, back down to earth. Monkey see no evil. Yeah, that was bad. It was. I was talking to a few people during the game, and we're like, wow, this is actually like enjoyable. Like I can actually like keep watching this game. I would say this was the most enjoyable of the games that I've watched so far this season. And then the second half came around, and I was like, oh, there's our Jets. Where were they? They showed up late to the game. It's almost like another team was playing football to start this. Definitely not great. Jet Nation, Green Bean. He says, dude. Dude, so bad. We stink. We are not very good. Steve Gillingham, 12 of 23, 120 yards, 2 interceptions. Not a good day. And let's dive a little bit deeper into that too. He had 29 dropbacks then, is what it wound up being. So 29 dropbacks Sam had. He had 6 sacks. So that 12 of 23, add an additional 6 that were turned into sacks. 11 of his dropbacks were hurried. 6 were knocked down. 2 interceptions. Not a good day for Sam. It's a tale of two halves for sure. And he had the fumble. That's true. We need better guards, says James Jarama. We do. Van Roten has been bad. Andrews did not play well. Alex Lewis has played well this season. It's a shame we didn't have him out there. Yeah, you guys are all salty on Sam. Allen says Sam's not the answer. Jet Season says Sam has to go. Joe S. asks, how many games does Sam have with 300 yards? Let's go. Let's go to the tape. Let's see what it is. I'm going to say not many. All right. Well, clearly not this year. That's an easy check off. We got 1, 2. So we had 2 games of 300 yards last year. One was the Dallas game. The other was the Oakland game. Those were clearly his 2 best games, in my opinion. And then 2018, he had the one against the Packers and one against Miami. So he's got 4 300-yard games in his career. none of which were this year. It's not not ideal. I feel like Josh Allen has at least 300 yards in like almost every game this year. Man, we could not have wound up on the wrong side of history, more than we already have. Enough complaining about Sam not having targets. He got his wide receiver killed today on a bad throw. I don't know if I'd call that a bad throw to Perriman. I think it was a throw that probably needed to happen if you wanted to get back in the game. It was just Hyde. That was a dirty hit by Hyde. I understand, bang bang plays, but he legitimately launched his feet and aimed for his helmet. 100%. If you look at that replay, that was a dirty play. I mean, there's no other way around it. But yeah, Sam did not play well today. Joe S says Sam should have been picked 3 times. Yeah, no, it's Josh Allen probably got lucky a few times. There's a play with Bless Austin, should have had an interception. I feel like we had a few. Desir almost had one, just kind of falling off the tips of the fingers there. RTW says, I think Joe Namath sold his soul. Now we have to live his selfishness. Not as fault. Look at the O-line. Look, I think it's like the Great Bambino curse for the Red Sox, but with Namath. That's how it feels. Burrow has 4 and 5 in his current rookie season. Yeah, that team was supposed to be really bad, and there is no way. If you told me we were going to be 0-7 to start the season, I'd be like, there's no way. We're way better than that. Like, we got better receivers than last year, I thought. Or at least, was a net neutral gain. Running backs couldn't have been worse than what we got last year. Offensive line couldn't have been worse than what we got last year. Penalties couldn't have been worse than what we got last year. Injuries couldn't have been worse than we had last year. Well, I'm wrong. Let's call a spade a spade. Callum Scott, do you think at this point Darnold would be happy to be traded? We have all but ruined him. It's easier to reset and bounce back where you get a fresh start. I think so. I really do. I think Sam's actually looking forward to being traded at this point. I think he's probably sick of everything that he's had to go through in New York. There's some aspects where he hasn't helped himself. He has absolutely thrown into double coverage. He has not had the best of decision-making that we've seen. But I do think he's a better quarterback than what we've gotten out of him. I think Gase and Loggains have been absolutely terrible, and it has been a disgrace, to say the least. James, can't wait to watch Le'Veon Bell. Can't wait to watch Le'Veon absolutely ball out right now. Adam Gase is the Grim Reaper. I think I posted that on Instagram the other day. It was like Le'Veon Bell, Jamal Adams, Mike McCagnon, maybe Sam Darnold were the 4 things for the Grim Reaper taking souls. But yeah, I want to see Le'Veon Bell ball out. I like Le'Veon a lot. I kind of want it to be more of an issue with the Jets' incompetency. So the Jets have decent players, but it's just the offensive play calling and everything like that makes us look more like a shit show than we actually are. I think that would help us in attracting a head coach, even if we don't get the first pick. But man, we are in a world of hurt. Spin says Bills got pressure on Sam almost every time he dropped back to pass. Yeah, I'll read those stats again. In 29 dropbacks, 6 sacks, 11 hurries, 6 knockdowns. I might be missing a hurry or a knockdown in there because this was taken slightly towards the end of the game. So it might be 12 hurries, but that's 23 of his 29 dropbacks. That's bananas. Can't have that. Can't have that at all. Rob F says to lose by just field goals is terrible. Yeah. No, your defense should be, if your defense only gives up field goals all day, that should be a win. You should be able to score more points than the other team's field goal kicker. 100%. And we just could not get anything going. We had the running game, some of the stuff, first quarter looked all right. You have the interception at the end of the half by Sam that added an extra 3 points. It sucks. It's not good. Salvador, Sam is just not good. People used to talk Mark Sanchez down, but Sanchez did not F up as much as Sam does. Salvador, I don't think you remember Mark Sanchez the way I do. He had so many pick sixes. It was absurd. He legitimately caused our defense to drop in rank because we'd have points scored against us because of all the pick sixes. So I I don't think Sam is as bad as Mark was. I would say if Sam had the number one rushing offense, the number one offensive line, and the number one defense, I think you would see just how good Sam is. Granted, he'd still be making some boneheaded plays, but I do think that he is better than Sanchez. Charles, all begging for Trevor Lawrence. I can't wait till he pulls an Eli on you fake fans. How many times has there been an Eli pulled? It's Eli and Elway, and they were like 25 years apart, which I guess if you're saying 19, when did Eli come out? 2004? You're saying 15 years? It's almost time for another Eli. I don't think you'll see that. I don't think he'll put his tail between his legs. I think what you'll see is he'll be willing to play with whoever drafts him. If the Jets somehow decide to keep Adam Gase, then maybe that becomes a thing. But I don't see Trevor Lawrence refusing to play for us. Where are we here in this chat? Troy F. Hyde hit was legal. Okay, Bills fans. Ravens fan here who lives in New York City. Well, since the Bills beat the and whatever Jets, they can finally win a Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That Hyde hit was definitely illegal. There's no way that was okay. He's going to get a huge fine. I would be very shocked if he did not. Hector Reyes. And still undisputed worst team in the league. Jets, Jets. Yeah, hey. We control our own fate. There's not too many things we control our own destiny on this year, but that is one of them. Alan says, I got nervous back in the day when Sanchez took the field. Yeah. We'd wind up giving up more points with Sanchez on the field than our defense would give up. Spin. Hyde had no time to react to that. That's why it was a high hit. There was nothing Hyde could have done to avoid that hit. He launched himself. Spin. Launched himself. Look at the replay. If you look at the replay from like the Jets end zone looking towards like the back of the Bills like jerseys, he launched. Like legitimately launched himself into Perriman's head. I don't agree with that at all. I think that was a dirty play. I think it was a dirty hit. I think he'll definitely get a fine for that. Jets. Sam has no confidence and doesn't see wide open wide receivers, or he misses throws. Yeah, look, Sam doesn't look good, and I think Jet fans should probably be on the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon. I think that's probably where I sit on this. Joe, Mims and Pirine show they can take the ball and run with it. Please don't trade Quinnen Williams. I'm warming up to Quinnen Williams. I would have been okay trading him for a first-round pick. I think you could probably still get me to do that. But he does appear to be wrecking a little more havoc, I think, if we get an edge rusher. Bryce Huff looks pretty good. I'm not upset with what we're getting out of Huff right now, considering he was an undrafted free agent. So very happy there. I just want Justin Fields and Jamar Chase. I really hope we can find a way to pull that off. That's not happening. Semir. It's a nice thought, but Fields is going to go top 5 and Jamar Chase is going to go top 5. There's no way the Jets are getting back into the top 5 after making their pick. Alan Roll says, now I'm nervous when Darnold takes the field. I'm just nervous that we might win a game. I don't care. If we lose, it doesn't really matter to me at this point. No name. Via Connor Hughes, Gase said he didn't call any plays this game, and Loggains called all game. I don't believe this. Hey, you know what? The Bills are a smart franchise. I could see their coaching staff coming out and making the adjustments for what Loggains was calling in the beginning of the game. So I can believe that. He does fall under the Adam Gase coaching tree, so it doesn't shock me if play calling got bad at some point. Joe S. says, yeah, stop blaming Sam. He just got picked 3rd overall, but it's never his fault. You got to blame Sam. Sam did not have a good game today. He's got his receivers back. He didn't have Crowder, but I don't think Crowder should have been the crux to why he was not playing well. The offensive line was more of an issue than anything else. I think between Andrews, McGovern, basically anyone but Becton has played poorly. I like Alex Lewis a lot. I wish he was playing. And honestly, watching Fanton there, I missed Adoga. I would like to see Adoga on the right-hand side a little more moving forward once he gets healthy. NY Patriots has 4 yards in the second half. Yeah, Ike Carumba. Not good. Steve Gillingham agreeing with me. Absolutely launched. himself at Perriman. Anthony Gagone, the last thing this team needs to improve is the quarterback play. You could have Brady, Montana, Rodgers, whoever you want out there. The results will be the same. Quarterback is not the problem. I don't think quarterback is necessarily the problem, but quarterback's contract is going to be the problem because we're going to have to decide real quick on Sam's fifth-year option this offseason, and that's more so what we're talking about. We haven't seen enough to justify that Sam is the franchise quarterback given the last 3 years of play. We've seen flashes for sure. We saw flashes from Sanchez, but we saw some big-time flashes from Sam. And there's going to be a team out there that can't draft a quarterback they want real high because they're a playoff caliber team or they're strapped for cap, so maybe they want to try 1 year with Sam. A team like the Steelers, a team like the Saints, a team like the Colts. That's where he's going to wind up going. He'll have a better infrastructure around him. We don't have the time to build around Sam before he has to get paid. That's more so the issue. If we could rebuild this entire team, for this year, and we had this year and next year to watch Sam, that would be a different story. But I think getting Trevor Lawrence and having that reset the rookie quarterback clock is important. Oh, God, Alan. I'm sure Darnold has something better than the butt fumble up his sleeve. Please don't tell me that. The seeing ghost thing was, I don't want to say it was almost as bad. The butt fumble is forever a stain on our existence as a franchise, but the seeing ghost thing wasn't great either. Kai says, hire a new head coach this offseason and officially start our rebuild with Lawrence or Fields. That's what it's going to wind up being. Now, if the Jets get the first overall pick, that means the Jets are going to have a really good shot at getting a top-tier head coach. I don't think if we fall to like the third or fourth pick, if we had won today, we could have fallen down to, I believe, the seventh pick or sixth pick. And that would be no bueno. No bueno at all. Not good. RTW, Sam is looking forward to leaving. Can't blame him. Hell no. Oh, can you blame him? Hell no. I don't blame him. Everyone else is bound up in better situations. Jamal Adams, better situation. Le'Veon Bell, better situation. CJ Mosley, not having to deal with the Jets this year, better situation. McClendon, better situation. I would say Sam wants to get traded at this point. Steven says we need a new head coach, or need a new coach, a new quarterback, a good running back, and some better receivers. What's going to happen is this offseason, we're going to get the new head coach. We're going to get either Lawrence or Fields or one of my favorite guys, Trey Lance, at quarterback. That'll reset the clock. I would love to get ETN from Clemson. Better receivers. I would hope we make some moves in free agency. Allen Robinson is who I want. I think he would be my top wide receiver option. I like Juju, but I think if we're moving on from Sam, I don't think Juju makes a ton of sense. What are we talking about here? Off the wall selection next year. Sewell, pair him with Becton for a decade. I would be very upset if we took a tackle in the top 5. This guy looks incredible. If you have him and Becton for the next decade, that would be absolutely insane. There is a guy, I think it's from Minnesota. He's like 6'9", 400 pounds. He's a right tackle. Could you imagine having him and Becton? And I think he's probably going to go in like a later round too. I don't know where he stacks up just yet. I saw him today. Actually, it was the first time I'd come across him. Cowboys come in for Sam before the trade deadline. If they came in with a first round pick, the Jets would absolutely do it. I don't think we pull that trigger unless it's a first round pick, because a second round pick, it's not worth gambling your future on. Because worst case scenario is if you say the Jets get the 5th pick, then maybe you go with Jamar Chase or you go with Sewell and you hold on to Sam, and then you kind of roll with Sam at that point. But I would trade Sam for a first. I would not trade Sam for less than a first in season, because I think you could get at least a second round pick after the season from a team that, it's going to be a later second round pick. Demonic Jets need to go on the fire sale and stop screwing around here. They will. You'll see in the next week and a half. They'll start shipping some guys off. Well, I'm sure we'll hear some more trades this week. I would say May, Poole, Crowder, all these guys could potentially be up for trades. Anyone that's got any sort of value to a team. And teams might be willing to give up draft picks this year because of the uncertainty with college football and how that scouting process is going to go. Charles, I see good in Sam, but I do understand people trashing him. Hey, look, Sam deserves a lot of blame, for sure. I've been at his defense for a lot of this stuff, but today felt like a Sam and a play calling kind of day. Strim says, lucky to get a second for Sam after that performance. Yeah, I mean, you can't base Sam's entire performance or entire, like, trade value on one game, I don't think. It certainly didn't help. It looked bad, but when you look at the stats, so 29 dropbacks, 6 sacks, 11 hurries, 6 knockdowns. That's 23 times pressured in 29 dropbacks. That's on the offensive line. Like, Sam held the ball a little too long at times. He made bad decisions at other times, but the offensive line failed him today. Bronze God says, flash forward. Who is the Jets quarterback in 2021? That will be Trevor Lawrence. I don't see how this team wins any games this season. There's not one team on the schedule that I think the Jets can beat unless they're resting their starters at the end of the season. Like, if the Patriots decide to rest their starters week 17 so the Jets can get a win, and then we wind up with, like, the third pick, dude, I'm going to be so mad. What else we got going on in here? Broadway Sam, Ryan, what makes Sam worthy of a first-round pick, even a second-round pick, other than his draft position? Would you give up a first or second for Bortles? No, because I think Bortles had a pretty good team around him at that point, and I think he was losing in spite of that. Sam, I don't think we are going to get a first-round pick. I think a second-round pick is what we're getting for Sam, and I think they're going to see what happened with Ryan Tannehill, what happened with Kenyon Drake, what happened with Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, hopefully Le'Veon Bell, Robbie Anderson, and they're going to see that Adam Gase is such an inept coach that they're going to hope that they can rebuild Sam's throwing mechanics, his confidence and everything like that. I think Sam will be able to fetch us a second round pick. I would be pretty surprised if we didn't get that. I'd be pretty frustrated if we gave up Sam for like a third. Like, I'd almost rather. I guess you can't really hold on to him because then you cause a division in the locker room. But I would be pretty surprised if we couldn't get a second round pick for him. If you had told me would I give up a second round pick for Bortles after he had that huge season where he had like a ton of yards, maybe. I mean, considering where the Jets came from, it's not the worst thing. Jimmy Sags, when we do get a new head coach next year, who do you want as an offensive and defensive coordinator? I don't know. I'll be honest. I'd like to pull a college head coach, someone that can pull their whole team of coaches up. Because if you take a guy like Joe Brady, who I think is like 36, 31, somewhere, he's young. He's really young. I don't know if he has enough experience to build a coaching staff just yet. I think you need a little bit more connections in the league. Defensive coordinator wise, if I'm saying the popular options, it's going to be, maybe Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. But even then, I don't know if I would do that. It's really just whoever the head coach wants, and I'd be happy with basically anything. I would love to get Urban Meyer. He would be kind of tops on my list. I don't think he's coming out of retirement. It's going to be hard as hell to get Sweeney or Lincoln Riley here. If you get Sweeney and pair him with Lawrence, that would be my option, because then Lawrence doesn't have to learn a playbook. He already knows it. That would create the shortest path to success. If you had Sweeney, then maybe you draft ETN. Now you have two guys on that offense all of a sudden that know the playbook inside and out, and they could really do some damage. Strim says, can't take ETN. Too many holes that are more important positions, edge, O-line, cornerback, etc. Yeah, look, hey, I agree. I'm not disagreeing there. But ETN, if he's sitting there maybe with your second round pick, top of the second round, I would be okay pulling the trigger there. I'm not taking a running back in the top half of the draft. And even then, ETN, may not be worth it. Like, maybe Piron's going to be good enough. And then you have, I would like to take quarterback, wide receiver, edge rusher, interior offensive line, and cornerback. Those are the 5 positions that I'd prefer to take, whether it's free agency or the draft, prior to going running back. So I do agree with you on that to an extent, but I do think ETN's a special back. Ninja says, I feel like Quinnen will be traded for a first and more. I think we can get a first-round pick. I saw a report from, I think it was Connor Hughes, saying that if the Jets could get a second, they would take it. And that feels like it's off to me. It Feels like he's played well enough where he could get us a second-round pick, especially because his contract, it would be like 3 years, $100 million, or what would it be? It'd be 2 more years, $1 million a year plus his 5th-year option. So really not too bad. Hudson Co. I honestly don't think Trevor Lawrence would want to come to the Jets. Furthermore, what can he do if we even get him? Trevor Lawrence is going to go to a terrible team. That's just how the draft works. He's going to wind up going to us this year, or he's going to go to the Jaguars, which is also a terrible team. If you gave someone the choice between the Jaguars and the Jets, I think you take the Jets. I really do. Like, as much as, we've been in an inept organization, Trevor Lawrence in New York City, if he winds up winning here, he will be a god. That's what will happen. Dark Demonic says the Jets should have never fired Todd Bowles. Once the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, they should have committed to Todd Bowles. I thought Todd Bowles was pretty bad. That said, he did look significantly better than anything we got out of Adam Gase in these 2 years. So, definitely not thrilled. Steven says Gase literally collecting paychecks to run this team into the ground. Yeah, there's a conspiracy theory amongst fans right now that, is Gase in on the tank? Is he actually coming back next year? That's how you get me all fired up. As if that happens. Jet fans are funny. Look at the time and protection Josh has versus the Jets O-line. Not to mention, Jets coaches are allergic to game adjustments. Yeah, Bowles never made adjustments. Gase never makes adjustments. Josh Allen was standing in the pocket forever. We could not get any pressure on this guy. And Sam Darnold had pressure in his face literally the entire day. The entire day. Who has the biggest competition for the first overall pick? To me, it's the Giants and the Jaguars. Yeah, I would say that's true. Those two teams seem like the most likely candidates. The Jaguars, to me, is the biggest threat to the Jets at number 1. If we win one game, the Jaguars may not win another game. Like, we kind of need to go 0-16. With the Giants, I think they play in such a bad division they may fall and stumble into a few wins. Scummy says Lawrence would prefer Atlanta. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would prefer Atlanta because then you would have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. So yeah, but I don't think Atlanta is going to be picking in the top 5. I think they're too good to be that bad. Now maybe they want to trade up. That would be an interesting thing. Daniel, with the injury to Waddle, wide receiver at Alabama, do you think he falls to our later first-round pick, and would you take him there despite his season-ending injury? What did he wind up having? What was his... I gotta look it up. Oh, that didn't type. What was his injury? Broken ankle. I would say he's probably going to fall down to our pick. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. Like, will he be able to start the beginning of next season? I'll have to dive a little bit deeper into him and what that type of injury causes. But I'm all for taking a wide receiver. And if you take a wide receiver who I think, if I read that correctly, he averaged like 145 or 150 yards a game this season, that's who I would like. I would be happy with that. Bubs, I'm not watching football anymore because the Jets shake my head. Yeah, we stink. we're pretty bad. It's tough to like commit an entire Sunday to making videos and then just watching this. Oh, poor excuse for a team. Do you keep anyone currently in the coaching team when we are selecting a new head coach? Says Callum Scott. No, I do not. I reset everything. I do not want to give whatever head coach we have the Matt Rule treatment of not selecting his own coach. I think you let Joe Douglas make the head coaching hire, and you say, head coach, bring in whoever you want. Let's figure it out together. We're all moving in the same direction. All right, guys. I think I'm going to hop off. I will be back. I will do my 5 takeaways. That'll come out probably a little later tonight. I'll break down a little bit more of the footage. And then I'll have hashtag sports on the show tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about the game. We'll talk about what we thought about the Hyde hit towards the end of the game, what we thought of that. Make sure you tune into that. And then Tuesday we'll be talking Jets with the panel again. So I'm looking forward to that. Guys, thank you for the 200 of you that tuned in to the post-game stream. If you haven't dropped a like, we got 42 likes on here. I'd like to see it over 100. So it'd be doing me a solid if you got that. But thanks as always for tuning in.